All right. So, I've been following the National Defense Authorization Act as it went through the House and now it has advanced in the Senate to a final vote. So, I assume that it was advanced out of a Senate committee because that's the only thing that makes any sense to me. But to the article, the Senate voted 83 to 12 on Tuesday to advance the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, for a final vote on Wednesday. The $895.2 billion military bill contains a provision in restricting gender-affirming care for the trans children of military members covered by TRICARE, the military's medical insurance. Senator Tammy Baldwin, a Democrat from Wisconsin, love her, has led efforts to eliminate the provision. And I think there are like 44 other senators who are backing her. So, but it's disconcerting that like I said with Republicans, but this apparently also continues on through Democrats. Which is more important? Funding the military because you have to show you're strong on defense, or caring about trans kids. And it's obvious so far what side Congress is on. The NDAA contains a provision banning any medical treatment for gender dysphoria that could result in sterilization for those under 18. It's unclear if the current legislation would ban puberty blockers, which don't affect fertility, hormone replacement therapies, which can, or mastectomies, which are rarely ever performed on minors. And also have nothing to do with sterilization. Unless there's someone who really, really, really has no idea how anatomy works. But you do not become infertile by having your breasts chopped off. That's just not the way it works. Anyway, Baldwin introduced an amendment to eliminate the provision. 20 other Democratic senators supported her amendment. I earlier read earlier was like 44 senators. So I assume 15 were Republican? Wait. That would only be 35. But yeah, maybe some Republicans, because like I've mentioned before, this isn't a bipartisan issue. It's not that all Republicans are anti-trans and all Democrats are pro-trans. We've seen that that's not the case. So, let's be clear. We're talking about parents who are in uniform serving our country who have earned the right to make the best decisions for their families, Baldwin said in a statement. I trust our service members and their doctors to make the best healthcare decisions for the kids, not politicians. And that's the crux of the issue. Politicians are generally parents, and yes, when it comes to your children's healthcare, you have every right to make decisions that you feel are best for your family. But other people also have that right. So, why are you butting your nose where it doesn't belong? Just because you know what's best for your family, what's the best healthcare, doesn't mean that's the best healthcare for other families. Because other families are different. Anyway, and yes, the best person to practice medicine are doctors. What a revelation. Imagine that. People who actually went to medical school and have medical degrees might know a thing or two more than the person who doesn't even know what sepsis is. So, yeah. Every major medical and mental health association in the U.S., representing more than 1.3 million U.S. doctors, supports youth access to gender-affirming care, calling it safe, essential, and effective for trans minors' overall well-being. And of course, the transphobes don't understand that because, as far as they're concerned, children are just mindless automatons until they turn 18 and then they're suddenly gifted with a personality. Because otherwise, how can you explain people saying that kids don't know what gender they are, kids don't know what sexuality they are? Yeah, kids know who they like, and kids know whether they feel like a boy or a girl. That is just bizarre to me that there are people who think that kids, because they're kids, don't know anything about anything. That's very disconcerting that people feel that way. Currently, the restrictions on gender-affirming care remains in the bill. Last week, the House passed the NDAA in a 281 to 140 vote. Representative Chris Pappas, a Democrat from New Hampshire, was among the 81 Democrats who supported the bill and was the only out gay House member to do so. Yeah, that's great. Pappas said he supported the bill because it contains pay raises for junior service members and Pentagon child care workers, addressing staffing shortages at the Veterans Affairs Center in rural areas, and funds projects that generate $1.5 billion to his home state of New Hampshire. And now we know why. It's not because of anything altruistic. It's because money is coming to his home state. I really, really wish that Democratic politicians would be more principled, but no. Pappas wrote that he remains incredibly frustrated that this process was politicized in the worst way, and blamed House Speaker Johnson, a Republican from California. Wait, what? He's a Republican from Louisiana. Someone forgot that neither Nancy Pelosi nor Kevin McCarthy are speakers at the moment. Okay. For adding unnecessary riders to limit care for some LGBTQ plus individuals. Johnson may have allowed the TRICARE restrictions into the bill to buffet conservative support for the upcoming 2025 vote to keep him as House Speaker. Which, yeah, that checks out. The current version of the NDAA still needs a final Senate vote and the signature of President Joe Biden to become law. The Democrat-controlled Senate could potentially remove the provision before passing its own version of the NDAA, and Biden has previously pledged to veto any legislation that harms the LGBTQ plus community. In addition to the trans healthcare restrictions, the bill also contains provisions blocking the Defense Department from teaching about critical race theory in its academic institutions or military trainings, which was never taught to begin with, and freezes any military hiring on positions related to diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. It also didn't contain a provision to expand access to in vitro fertilization services to service members whose infertility wasn't caused by service-related illnesses or injuries. I hope we can find a path to pass an NDAA as soon as tomorrow, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat from New York, said in a floor speech, adding that it's not a perfect bill, but has very good things that Democrats wanted. To be sure, the NDAA has some bad provisions Democrats would not have included, Schumer said, and there are other provisions that were left out of the NDAA which we still hope can get done elsewhere. So maybe they're hoping that, one, that they'll remove the provision, or two, that they'll find a workaround before this session of Congress leaves to allow trans kids to get health care. But it's true. There are good provisions in the bill. It's not like it's entirely a crap bill. But, it just sucks that people feel that, because it has some good things, that it outweighs the bad. I would have preferred that Speaker Johnson and the mega lunatics would have to, instead of an easy passage, that they would have to sweat it out and actually back up why they feel that this is needed. Because, let's face it, usually when you confront MAGA with them having to explain themselves, they're not very good at it. Because they don't have any good reason, or a bad reason for that matter, to do what they do. It's just simply hate. So, yeah, that is all I have for this article. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.